We are preparing to start up our 2024 academic year. And I just want to inform our nation through this press occasion that the country is preparing for work again in 24. We're not engaged in politics, we're not engaged in just lazing around doing nothing, as some may think. Far from it, we're at work. Early this week, the accounts was formally opened, and we're starting to get into the swing of working for our country again. And education is an important expenditure in January in preparation for education of our children and opening of the academic years. And I just want to give our fullest assurance to our citizens nationwide that your government, once again, will commit to paying school fees for children of our country who are engaged in studies both at the lower education as well as at the higher education. So I have with me our two hardworking secretaries. Today, this moment was scheduled for us to do the presentation of two checks publicly as a show of confidence to our people. That government is at work, government is doing its part, and our citizens ask to also do their part. All of you would know in the last 3 years, especially when COVID-19 descended on planet Earth and when COVID-19 related stress to the economy was felt by everyone, including our citizens. Government made deliberate interventions starting 2020, 2021, 2022 to ensure we help our people. One of the greater points of reference for help has been the way we assisted our parents in the school fee of their children. Low education, we pay school fees, and since 2022, we've been carrying the cost of project fees. So no longer parents are paying project fees throughout the country. Technically, it means those in the public schools, as well as the permitted schools that we assist, have their school fees and the project fees paid, meaning parents are now retaining back in their pockets the money that they would have paid as school fee and project fees. Project fee usually is charged up to 200 kina a student. That is now no longer charged right across the length and breadth of our country. Interventions we deliberately made to help lift the burden of our people when they're going through stress as a result of inflation, local inflation, imported inflation, or the hardships that we all face through COVID-19 descent and the other hardships we go through. Likewise, at the university, we had colleges, we did introduce, again, just special interventions, one of which is the Higher Education Loan Program. Interest-free lending that no borrower, no students borrowing today will be imposed to repay in a quick time. They could take the rest of their life to repay whatever money they borrowed from state. And Secretary Dr. Czuba did indicate to me that over 177 million, if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
My memory might fail me, but I'm relying on my memory. 177 million kina has been distributed to assist students. Over 35,000 students in our country. As of last year, we introduced this program to also assist postgraduate students. And we want to expand this program to ensure Papua New Guineans who need to have their school fees covered have ease of access to support funding, whether directly through HECAS and TESAS based on their academic results, or our own government lending program in the Higher Education Loan Program. The last 3 years in the program, we've been able to disperse over 177 million kina, and 35,000 students right across our country have benefited from this program. And so I will give an opportune time for our two secretaries to say one or two things to the country in respect to the academic year reopening, so that students and parents and all of us are in one page. We less than 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks, away from schools reopening nationwide. So it is important this time around. Our parents and students are prepared, but I have with me a dummy check of 213.4 million kina for the lower education, and an 83 million kina for the higher education. Again, budgeted funds geared towards helping our citizens and our students. And this will be given to them much earlier than usual, so that they are prepared to open up education, so we don't compromise the academic year of our students. Father Czuba, Higher Education Secretary, you have a moment to address the country, encourage our students and our citizens to be prepared for school, as well as Secretary Kombra. You can speak a little later on.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for giving us the opportunity to address parents and students. I would like to acknowledge on behalf of my minister who is on duty travel the tremendous assistance we received from you, Prime Minister. Our Prime Minister personally was interested how we are doing, and he called us for meetings, and he makes sure that first time in my administration we're receiving money before the institutions are open. I received Prime Minister warrant already 83 million for TESAS, which will be dispatched to all institutions of higher learning, and this includes tickets. So parents do not have to be worried. Those students who are on TESAS, which is majority of our students, and while I have a ticket from the destination, which they're on holidays, to the destination they will travel to institutions of higher learning. I would like to only add one thing, that for over 35 years I was involved in higher education, and the biggest problem we always had, which the parents were facing, the fees, tuition fees, which parents have to take it. And I will never forget, on the 28th of December 2019, Honorable Judge Marape, Prime Minister, called me and the Prime Minister for Higher Education, Honorable Uke, and he said, we need to resolve the problem. We need to remove the burden, and I want you to establish higher education loan program, and establish in such a way that there's no additional charges. Only how much the students borrow, students will repay. I said, okay, Prime Minister, so give me 1 year. He said, no, I want to even next year. So that's how committed Prime Minister was to help financially the higher education sector and to reduce the burden on parents. So thank you for that. I think this is the greatest intervention we had in the higher education sector from our government, which really reduced the burden. On top of that, as you know, TESAS is allocated to undergraduate from certificate up to bachelor's. But we have too many bachelor's degree, and our people are looking for funding for master's and PhD. The Prime Minister said, we extend help. So as of next year, we already assisted some students, and this year we'll assist more students who do master's or PhD will receive funding from her. On top of that, PM went a little bit further, and this year give us instruction, don't forget Papua New Guinea study overseas. So if Papua New Guinea study overseas and is short, taking postgraduate program is short of finances, we have already a policy developed, which will be presented to NSC this month. The policy explains how the students taking PhD or master's overseas can apply for funding from her. So, Prime Minister, this initiative is great, and indeed, on behalf of all the students and then postgraduates, I say thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, so we have 83 million kina already disbursed to ensure that the higher education sector is prepared for the open of the academic year. So to parents and citizens, you are assured we're taking this off very early. And you know, even in tough times, as good managers of our economy, we prepared to retire what we need to retire at certain times. And in early January, we're taking off education in a big way. Lower education is also prepared to receive. In fact, 213 million kina has been wired to them, and we're doing a symbolic check presentation today as a signal to the country. So your government is working, but you too must work, and I'll come to that later on.
Thank you, Prime Minister Miriam. Ladies and gentlemen, the human restoring the country's human resources is very important, and we recognize into the 2024 budget an allocation of 14.9 or 15% of the total budget coming to the education sector. And of this, a significant part of that will go towards the general education sector in paying for the tuition fees and project fees for our 2.3 million students that will be enrolling this year. The government has been very committed to its policy, the policy of leaving no child behind and providing education for all. Since 2020, as PM has highlighted, the grants, the subsidies have been paid right before the start of school year, and that's been highly appreciated by parents in schools, so that they can plan with some confidence of what they're going to spend the money on throughout the year. So since 2020, we are thankful to the government for paying money upfront, and also making sure that all the budgeted funds have been paid before the close of the year, or at least everything has been paid. For example, last year in 2023, the total money, so budget we had of 760 million has been all remitted to schools by September. So that indicates the government's commitment to the parents and the citizens of PNG. This year we have an increase in our budget of 855 million and an allocation of 214 or 218 million every quarter. That's an increase of close to 87 million kina from last year's budget, which indicates the government's commitment to see that as the enrollments are increasing, we have extra funds again to cater for the increase in the enrollment. There will be a few additional, one or two changes that we are proposing to Cabinet to consider, and that should come out very shortly. To consider students who are in private schools and permitted schools, there will be a definite one of a grant to support the students who are attending private and permitted schools. We stopped that a few years ago, but that should be reintroduced. We're also looking at a rebate system for schools, students who are going overseas at the basic education level. Those parents who intend to send or are in as the education of their children are being given in overseas countries, we will look into a rebate system so there's some subsidy given to them as well. But above all, we thank the government for meeting its commitment. And we ask that no child is denied the right to education. The government is fully paying for the tuition fees and the project fees, so no child should be denied the right to education. They must attend class. If the parents and the community decide to give voluntary contribution to support the infrastructure and other support, that's basically voluntary. But the child must be in the classroom come the 29th of January. So classes will start on the 29th of January, and we expect every child to turn up, teachers to turn up on the 22nd of January, and classes to resume on the 29th of January. So we expect every class to start now with the funds being made available. We should remit them within a week or so, and that should help the schools to start operations. So, Prime Minister, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. There you go. Our first quarter disbursements is now available. A couple of weeks earlier when the schools are to open those, and all the lower educations will be opened the 29th of January, and we're ensuring that money is gone to them much earlier than later. And you know, many people think we're not doing anything. I just want to inform our nation, we are working. We don't go around pronouncing what we do. One of the heavier loads we've lifted for our citizens and parents has really been the school fee interventions. If you look all in all, in the last 5 years, you do your multiplication minimum at 600 million kina. Every year to lower education, there's 3 billion kina minimum. The central government has given out as school fee assistance right throughout the length and breadth of our country, starting 2020 when COVID-19 descended upon us. When we have removed the project fee from parents and citizens, that means they pay almost nothing. That money is being retained in the pockets of our citizens. what they would have paid the state, they're returning back. I want to also support Secretary Kombra and also the Secretary Father Czuba. We're looking at a policy to assist those parents who are burning their hard-earned money by putting children to private schools. We're looking into this to ensure they're given support, subsidy, rebate. We're also looking into assisting Papua New Guineans who are finding placement to study overseas. This will be rolled into a formal support compute in which those who want to pursue education and skilling in the country, their government stands right behind them to ensure they're given full support in pursuing education so that they become productive citizens to be employed here or employed outside of our country. Speaking of employment outside of the country, we're working with the Australian government on the seasonal worker program. We will tidy that space so they just don't go and work and come back. We're looking at them going down work, and we will link them to possible study programs in Australia so that they could either work as skilled workers in Australia later on or come back and work in Papua New Guinea. That is being pursued as I speak. And Secretary Czuba, you were saying about the research interventions we're doing. You want to?
Yeah, I just say maybe elaborate a little bit about your intervention and your discussion and the directives you give to my minister and me. In terms of private sector providing higher education and churches, the Prime Minister put strong emphasis that they will be treated the same like a public. It means students will get TESAS and help, and some of them can apply for PIP only projects. The only issues they have to meet the national standards for institutional recognition and program accreditation. And we were instructed by Prime Minister to speed up the program of accreditation. We are talking about 350 private providers in the higher education sector. So we will have a diversity of programs. The thing which I would like to mention, which is external news to the higher education sector, for many years we didn't see allocation for research. And this year each research institutions got a substantial amount of money, between 9 to 12 million each, plus universities, which is Prime Minister first time, and we appreciate very much. We cannot grow a quality of higher education if it's not supported by research. And Prime Minister heard our cry, and he makes sure that this year budget, the allocation for research is done, and it's really very appreciated by research institutions and by the universities. So all our research institutes, medical research institute, agriculture research, and national research institute, get a
PNG, medical research.
Medical research institute, they receive money for research, substantive amount between 8 to 10 million, just for research. On top of that, each recognized universities at the 8, each of them receive funds for research. PM, thank you very much. That is great news. We didn't see that for a long, long time in our budget. Thank you.
You are the real think tank, so get me the good critical analysis on how we should do well for our country. And we have skills in those areas. We have been underutilizing them, so we ensure that they're resourced and they do research data to support their own work as well as cross-support other agencies of state for the betterment of our citizens and our people. All right, on the education sector, I just want to say the reason why we come out big in education this year is to impress on our people that education is important. If your government is paying school fee for your children, what can you do right across the country? And Papua New Guineans, if your government is carrying the load for your children's school fee, I as Prime Minister didn't ask you to have the child. You decide to have the child. You have responsibility to the country. If government is paying for your school fee, I ask and I speak to all parents nationwide today. Your job is to ensure you support your child. Make sure he's going to school. You give discipline at your own home. Make sure he's looked after and cared for. And when it comes into the embrace of my two secretaries here, he or she will do our absolute best to try to look after them. Our responsibility as parents in 2024 for your country is to ensure we convert these children in our country to become better citizens of our country. And it starts, education starts at home. You teach them well, you send to these two secretaries, and all the teachers under their care, the lecturers under their care, will try our best to do well with them. And the two secretaries, I just want to charge both of you. I want teachers to be disciplined. No buai, no smoking, no chewing in front of our students. Teachers and lecturers, no riffraffs, dress up properly, no rastas. We just have to go into stiff in this one. We have lost the plot as far as administrative discipline, student discipline, and parents and citizens discipline. Our country is facing 50 years of independence next year. This year, 50 years ago, our fathers were preparing us for independence. They had little knowledge, but they created disciplined Papua New Guineans who lived in the 80s and 90s. Today, we're living among ill-disciplined at workplace, ill-disciplined in society. And Education Department has a large role to play in this one as a symbolic gesture to the country that government will work with the two educational sectors, the higher education, lower education, to try to make a calculated insertion into molding the character of next generation Papua New Guineans. I want to appeal to you citizens, if you do care for your children, don't ask about someone else, but you, listening to this, wherever you are in this country, manage your own children in your home. Teach him well, send him to a church on weekends, teach him the ethics of good Melanesian Christians, and allow him to come to the embrace of these two departments here. We will do our absolute best to pay for their school fee. As your government, I do not want school fee to be the excuse of children staying outside and not being in school. Whatever wherever you are, whatever type of students you are, whether you are blind, whether you are disabled, does not matter. Any child under the age of from 6 all the way into 18, 19, 20 must be engaged in a school institution somewhere in our country this year. And I want to, as I speak to the parents, I speak to all provincial governors and all education advisors in the provinces. 21 of you, including, and I'm having a meeting with President Toroma on Friday, including our special region of Bougainville, the Bougainville government. The entire education system is really dependent on those of you who are administrators. Today, for instance, we have an administrative issue that costs our police and soldiers and public servants to lose an income that we gifted to them as a result of our budget process. And so all administrators of the system nationwide, you are in custody of the entire government service delivery program. So the two education secretaries will do their job. Their job is standards and remittance of resources that we are allocating to them. And I make this strong call to all educational advisors throughout the length and breadth of our country. Politicians aside, but you public servants are here forever, perpetually. Administer the school systems in your provinces to ensure that our students are coming to school and are being looked after, and that correct teacher ethics and teacher administrations managed in all our institutions right across the length and breadth of our country. And so I want to move to our next point. To those who are not in school, firstly, I just want to indicate very scary statistics here. Since 1991, we've produced more school dropouts than we've been able to address and care for them. The education reform created many school leavers at grade 8, many school leavers at grade 10, many school leavers at grade 12, and those that went on to university and colleges had no continued learning opportunities or no work opportunities. And I want to speak to this group of Papua New Guineans in our midst, especially those of you who are still under the age of 16, if not 15 to 30. In late January and early February, we'll be mobilizing you. As those who've been accepted to continue on education in our classrooms next year are going back to school, I want to appeal to every youthful Papua New Guinean children out there. I'm your father. As Prime Minister, I'm your father, and I speak to you. If you're listening to this, if someone is not listening, make this message go out to every young Papua New Guinean. Age 15 to 16 to 30. If you don't have a job this year, or if you don't have an education placement this year, we will find you. We will look for you. And the place that we will look for you is in your churches right throughout this country. go to a Christian church somewhere in your community, in your neighborhood, and you go into the church on a Sunday or Saturday and tell them, I'm not in a class this year, or I have graduated from a university or college and I'm not employed this year. If you're under this age range, 15, 16 to 30, we want to mobilize the youths of our country in a very, very big way. I don't promise you a job right now, but I want to know who you are. These youths would be mobilized in a positive way, and we have rollout. Secretary Kombra will confirm. The last 3 years, we've given second chance learning to over 100,000 Papua New Guineans who are now back in school, matriculating grade 9, matriculating grade 10, matriculating grade 11, matriculating grade 12. When I was Education Minister 12 years ago, I made this policy. I am now implementing this policy that even those who are outside of the high school system are able to pick up education through matriculation and through distance learning. And so we want to mobilize the youth in our country to be productive and not remain outside of the formal words and reach of government. So I want to ask all the youths, keep a lookout for the announcement, mass mobilizing the youths. Your point of contact will be your district administrators or CEOs nationwide. Just like we're giving money out to the education departments, we're also giving money to the districts and to the provinces. They receive money through the district intervention funds and the provincial intervention funds. We'll be passing this responsibility to mobilize the youths back to the district youth officers and the district administrators or CEOs nationwide. The entire 97 districts throughout our country will be asked to mobilize the youths in our midst. And so my second, as I conclude, the focus on youths and our children of our country, those who are given space for 2024 academic year, goes back to the various level of schools. Those children who are aged 16 or 15, and I used I'm deliberate here, age 16 or 15, some would have left grade 8 last year with no space in grade 9, correct?
Yeah.
So those who have left grade 8 last year with no space in grade 9, you're not an orphan. You're not a parentless child. You're not a useless child. It's just that the system has no space for you. Your government at the national level, we want to know who you are. We want to get you back as a second chance learning through the flexible open distance education program we've embarked upon. I want you and all of you, your kind, to be migrated to this alternate education pathway. And we will be making grade 12 certificate a compulsory certificate as we go forward into the future. Every child in our country who wants to do business or wants to go beyond into adulthood, you must have a minimum grade 12 certificate that is compulsory. And this is a path we're working towards, so that we give minimum 12 years of basic education to every Papua New Guinean. In between, we'll infuse ethics, we will infuse knowing about business, we will infuse TVET programs so that you have skills. So when you're 18, 19, you're a solid Papua New Guinean with basic skills in life, and not just wandering in the urban areas doing nothing, but you're able to fall back the skills that our education system, whether the formal system or the informal system we're trying to build, should skill all youthful Papua New Guineans. So I just want to conclude this segment on address to the parents and our young Papua New Guineans, those who are not going back to class this year. Make contact with the district education advisor, make contact with your community development advisor, make contact with your district development authority chief executive officer, go through your chats. Your churches will link you, and as a national government, we'll try to find you and we'll funnel you on to various programs that we want to put for young people in our country.